Let's fucking do this thing. Are you ready?
All right. Yeah. Let's just dive right in.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I'm Sophie Schwartz.
And I'm Katelyn Hart. Hi. Hello. Welcome.
This is the show where we talk about the bones and the bone-related topics.
Anything you want, but it has to be about bones. So I hope you want to talk about bones.
Well, today's going to be extra bony if that's even possible on this program, because it's time for a Bone-anza.
Cue spooky Bone-anza music.
Bone-anza.
Thank you. Bone-anza. Thank you.
Bone-anza.
Count it. Bone-anza. Thank you. We're having a Bone-anza.
Bone-anza.
Thank you. Thank you. Count it. Count it.
Bone-anza. Bone-anza.
Bone-anza. Bone-anza. That's right, everybody. It's time for the third iteration of the Bone-anza. We're here today to I have 4 topics. I hope you have 4.
I also have 4 topics.
Hell yes. We are here today to give you 8 stories on the topic of Adventure Bone.
Adventure Bones. It's the Adventure Bone Zone. One might even say. This week's theme is all about the spirit of adventure meeting the spirit of bones. So we're talking explorers, we're talking shipwrecks, we're talking pioneers of their field, we're talking about anyone and anything that's having a bony bone adventure.
That's right. I couldn't have said it better myself. Wow. Do you want to start, or do you have one that you want to end on?
No, I mean, I have an ender I have a story I want to tell last of my stories, but I don't know if my ender is any better than yours, but I'll kick it off. I'll kick this Bone-anza off.
Okay. I was going to say, that's the trouble with this podcast. We have to keep some secrets from each other, so I don't know either.
And you know I hate keeping secrets from you.
You've said it once on this podcast. I think we should just say it every episode of this podcast.
I promise never to keep secrets from you ever, except for that one time that I stole 1 million Bitcoin from Jeff Bezos. No. I would share that with you.
Yeah, I figured. We'd be in on it together, most likely.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be going to work tomorrow.
No.
Okay. All right. We gotta start these bones off because, as we know, if you leave a Bone-anza sitting out too long, it will go bad. So, since we've opened it, we have to go through with it.
Yep, red wine.
Yes, a Bone-anza is like a fine red wine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, I wanted to start things off strong because when I think adventure, I think fantasy.
Okay.
I think dungeons, and more specifically, I think dragons.
Hell yeah, here we go.
So I want to talk to you about the bones of the Vavel dragon.
I'm sorry, what?
This is from an article from Atlas Obscura. These are some bones of a dragon that are on display at Poland's Wawel Cathedral, and this is a beautiful cathedral. It holds the remains of some Polish royals. It's more than 900 years old. It served as the Polish national sanctuary and traditionally serves as the coronation site for Polish monarch. But as I said before, right at the top, the really kick-ass thing about this cathedral is that there's a bundle of bones, which are rumored, really believed to be, the bones of a local dragon.
You say bundle of bones?
I said bundle of bones.
Wait, what is it? Are they wrapped together in wrapping paper or like tied with twine? What's going on? I can't picture this.
Here, let me send you a little picture so that you can get a better idea of what we're working with. And for our lovely listeners at home, this, of course, will be available to you on ye olde Instagram. All right, here we go. Pardon me.
Nice.
Thank you. Should I keep that in?
Yeah, keep it. Don't cut that out, please. I'll sue.
I wouldn't dare.
I'll sue you for something. I don't know. dad lawyer fight.
We'll have a dad lawyer fight.
We both have dads that are lawyers, and they'll duke it out.
These dads will duke it out. I think one day I don't want our dads to fight, though. I want our dads to use their lawyer powers for good together.
For good, yeah.
For
okay,
good.
I see the picture.
Do you see the picture? Do you want
what
to?
the hell is this scary tongue coming out of the door?
So, what it basically is, there's like this one really long bone, and I think like a little piece of vertebrae or something.
That's a bone?
That's a bone, bitch. That's a dragon bone.
No, it's not.
I mean, yes, it is.
Maybe. Okay, continue.
So basically, they're all chained up and they're hanging by this door. So here's the kind of basic legend of the dragon. Wavell Hill. So there was a king, and he lived in a castle, classic, and underneath the castle was a cave, and inside the cave was a dragon. And that's the dragon we're talking about now, who came to be known as Smok Wawelski. Yeah. So I'm trying to pronounce all these Polish words correctly, because the W's, they turn into V's. And if you don't know that, you'll pronounce it wrong. So this dragon, he was kind of, I wouldn't say your run-of-the-mill dragon, but he had all of the dragon tropes of like, he ate young maidens and sheep and terrorized the town. And the king who was living in this castle had enough of this dragon's fucking bullshit. He was like, I'm done with my people getting eaten. I'm done with my sheep getting eaten. This has to stop. So he went to the village and was like, hey, everybody, if you can kill the dragon, you can marry my daughter. And
whoa.
Yeah, so, depending on how he viewed his daughter, he was really determined to, knock this thing out.
We're assuming they had a good, loving relationship.
Yeah, he could have been like, please take this woman out of here.
Out of here. Sorry.
She will not stop asking me questions about the dragon.
She just wants to get an education. How tiresome.
How tiresome. When will the dragon be gone? Why will you keep threatening to feed me to the dragon? Yeah.
Really? He just thought it was going to solve two problems, the dragon and getting his daughter out of the house. I see him.
I see you getting two birds stoned. So there's a guy in town. He may have been a cobbler named Scuba. Spelled Skuba. And I ask you, is that not Scuba?
Scuba, I think Scuba?
Skuba.
Oh, okay. If I was going to go scuba diving, it is spelled with a C, but it sounds the same if you aren't looking at it.
Well, that may or may not have been his name. Scuba. Well,
hey, Scuba, get over here.
Well, Scuba did get over there, and he had a plan. Scuba was like, okay, he got a lamb or a sheep, a lamb, and this is the part that makes me sad. He stuffed it with sulfur, which does that mean he fed it a lot of sulfur, or he tried to stuff sulfur inside?
Was it alive or dead when this happened is my question.
Well, that is an excellent question that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah. Oh, let's not answer the question, actually. I think I want to just breeze past it.
Anyway, sulfur in the lamb, Scuba's got it, and he puts it outside of the cave for the dragon to come and get. And the dragon comes out, he sees a nice tasty snack, and he eats it and as soon as he's done consuming the lamb or the sheep, he feels his stomach is in a lot of pain, and he's so thirsty. So he goes over to the river and he starts drinking water, and he keeps drinking water, and he keeps drinking water until his tummy gets so big he explodes.
Oh no.
And that's how they got rid of the dragon.
It exploded itself?
It exploded itself, yes.
I love it. That's an adventure. That's an adventure. That's a bone. That's funny.
And I mean, some wet blankets might try to tell you that these bones are fossilized whale bones or mammoth bones.
Idiots.
But those people are heretics and idiots.
Oh.
And they are dragon bones from a dragon from when he did do and explode.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my first Bone-anza, a little Bone-anza adventure into the land of fantasy.
Yeah, fun. I didn't think a dragon would come into play really, at least until episode 50 or so.
Well, I've actually been sitting on this specific story because it's not one that's very long. There's not too much to be told about it other than there are dragon bones at a church, and this is the legend of the dragon.
Sure.
But I just love, you know me, I love the weird shit people put in churches. Like, why are people compelled to put remains inside of churches? I don't know, but I love to read about it.
Yeah, and like not just that, but hang it in chains outside. Like,
yeah, like they're gonna get away. Like their dog on a leash outside of a restaurant.
Oh my God. Like, relax. Nobody wants your weird dragon bones.
I want your weird.
Okay.
They're chained up because of me.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a little trip to Edinburgh.
Ooh.
Where in 2016 at the Victoria Primary School, let's picture it. We're little kids in the primary school. We're like 6 or 7, maybe. I don't know what age the Scots are when they go to primary school.
Okay, for theater of the mind purposes, is this a uniform school? Are we wearing the same thing?
Yeah, we're wearing the same thing. We're playing in the sandbox. I have a shovel and you have a rake. They're both small, whatever. And we're digging. And like in an episode of the Fox TV show Bones, we stumble upon a skeleton.
Teacher!
Mom! Teacher! Everybody come here! I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I told you a little bit of a fib.
No!
Victoria Primary School is real. A skeleton was found there. That's real. No kids were involved in the finding of the skeleton.
Well, that's probably for the best, isn't it?
Yeah. City of Edinburgh council workers were doing a survey for a planned expansion of Victoria Primary School, and it's actually one of the city's oldest primary schools. And this happens in 2016. I got this article. It's from the Vintage News, and it's by Ian Harvey. And like I said, this was big news at the time, so this is covered by a lot of different places in 2016. So at first, because the bones were in such bad shape, the people thought that they were from the Bronze Age, which I think is kind of interesting. There were also 4,000-year-old pottery shards next to the bones? ? So I don't know why those were there, but they were. The bones belonged to somebody that lived in the 15th or 16th century, and it was a man who was likely in his 50s. Here's where it gets interesting. They think that this man was a criminal.
Ooh.
And I will tell you why. So, they used to use a gibbet, most commonly, to execute witches and pirates. So, if this is true, I guess that leads me to believe that he was killed with a gibbet. And then he was either dumped in a nearby wasteland with all the other criminals, or he could have been like put on display after he was executed, like by the sea or something. So basically, they think he was probably a pirate.
Yeah. A gibbet is one of those things that is like the like human cages, right? Or it's like a thing that they prop up people on.
So the hanging cage or gibbet was a ubiquitous sight throughout Europe, made of slats of wood or iron in myriad shapes and sizes. The device served as a simple punishment or a slow, brutal execution. Oh my God, this is from occasionalhell.com. Jeez, that's a really scary website.
Well, at least it's occasional. At least it's not always hell.com.
Yeah. So the gibbet was common, and pirates were often left in view of the sea or the ocean so that any other pirates would kind of see, like, oh, look, this guy's had this fate. He must be a pirate. I'm gonna turn my boat around or something.
I'm gonna stop being a pirate right now.
And I guess because his bones were so easy to find, he was probably most likely in like a shallow, unmarked grave. Because if he had been dumped with all the other like executed criminals, obviously we would have found more than just this one poor guy. Oh, I'm gonna send you the picture of the recreation of this skeleton and what he might have looked like. There he is.
Hi, bud. He's got
Yeah,
some...
just kind of a plain looking guy.
He is a very plain looking dude. He looks like a dude that might have a Tinder profile where he's holding a fish, a large fish he caught.
Oh, and this facial reconstruction was done by forensic artist Haley Fisher.
Good job, Haley.
Yeah, and last thing, I love this part. So because the skeleton was found on the playground, basically, or like, by the primary school, the archaeologists who worked on this collection of bones are gonna do a lesson for the kids at the school. No word on if this actually happened or not, but I pray that it did.
Man, I want to be in on that lesson.
Right?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Damn. I wish at my elementary school, we had like it was called the nature area, but it was really just that my elementary school, which was called Wagner Ranch, was like bumped up against just like rolling like California hills with kind of nothing in them. So we would go to the nature area to have like a first Thanksgiving type of thing that was probably culturally inappropriate. But we would dig around, and I don't know if the teachers put these in the ground themselves or if they were actually, I think teachers probably put them in the ground themselves, but we would dig around for little pottery shards in the nature area and sometimes find some. So
ooh, mystery.
Mystery. I think it was a dirty trick to get us to learn.
Very possible. But if I were digging around, I would love to find a 600-year-old pirate skeleton.
Me too. And you couldn't have provided me with a better transition.
Oh my God.
Because I also want to talk about pirates.
Of course, it's an adventure.
It's an adventure, Bones. We're gonna talk about pirates. This is a pirate bonanza. Fuck, we should have done a pirate bonanza. Maybe in the future. Next time. Well, maybe not. Well, whatever. Another time. No promises. Okay.
Don't get that in writing, whatever you do.
As I told you last week, I'm not writing any of this down. All right. Human remains found at pirate shipwreck site could be identified soon.
They could.
So this is an article by Emily Sweeney, and it's from the Boston Globe.
Yeah.
So researchers are getting close to figuring out whether or not a set of remains that they found at the shipwreck of the Whydah are Captain Samuel Black Sam Bellamy's remains. Oh, did you?
Not the same article, but we've got a double bonanza surprise.
Fuck. Do you have the update?
Yeah.
You have the update?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll set up Sam Bellamy and then you can hit it home.
Very good. That is, of course.
A double bonanza surprise.
This one is actually also from the Boston Globe, but it's by Adam Senott, and it was updated January 3rd of this year.
Well, let's talk about Sam Bellamy. So, as you probably know, Sam Bellamy was born in England in 1689. He became one of the most successful pirates in the world. And actually, Forbes once did an article about like the highest earning pirates ever. And he was definitely the top by like millions of
Oh my God.
of,
Yeah.
like, he was an English pirate who operated in the early 18th century, and he's known as the wealthiest pirate in recorded history and one of the faces of the golden age of piracy. Though his career as a pirate captain lasted little more than a year, he and his crew captured at least 53 ships. He was called Black Sam Bellamy in Cape Cod folklore because he eschewed the fashionable powdered wig in favor of tying his long, black, beautiful hair with a simple band. Bellamy also was known for his mercy and generosity. He was known as the Prince of Pirates.
Aw.
Yeah, because he had kind of a Robin Hood attitude to it.
Yeah, seems like it.
And he had, as we said, he had a pretty short, for being like one of the most highest earning pirates and kicking, I mean, he didn't kick a lot of ass, but he kicked ass in our regard of like finding a lot of treasure and like really getting shit done. His life was unfortunately cut short when his ship, the Witta, was wrecked off of the coast of Cape Cod on April 26, 1717. So they found a corpse inside that they brought up that they think might be Sam Bellamy. But I have a feeling, Katelyn, you've got the update?
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, hit us.
It's not him. Ah, sorry.
Yeah, no, when I read more and was like, found out it wasn't him, I was like, oh, boo.
No, it's not him. So like I think I said, my source is called Deep Reveals More Treasure from the Pirate Ship Wida by Adam Sennott, Sennott, updated January 3rd, 2021. This article was sort of more about the guy that discovered the shipwreck, and it was kind of an update on him. It's been about 40 years since he found it in Cape Cod, and it was a cargo ship, and it was a former slave ship, apparently, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So Clifford, I guess, like, kind of works at this museum, or it's his, I can't really tell.
The Witta Pirate Museum?
Yeah. I love it. And apparently it says, in this article, it says, quote, on a recent weekend, Clifford hosted a small group of kids at West Yarmouth's Wida Pirate Museum as his colleague poked at a lump of hardened rock and sediment hauled up from the shipwreck in 2016. Found the matter known scientifically as concretion? Yeah, I don't know. It held coins from Peru, gold, and possibly gemstones. So it sounds like there was just like a piece of stuff from the shipwreck, and it was just full of coins and gems.
Yeah, that's stuff that the skeleton that they found was like encased in.
Trapped in? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's apparently they have found more than 180,000 artifacts on this ship. They found cannons and, well, a human skeleton. We know this. In 2018, they ran DNA on the femur, but the DNA test definitely, it wasn't Sam Bellamy, unfortunately.
Yeah, can I share a funny quote about that?
Yeah.
So this is a quote from my article by Jason Savio, and this is from the Providence Journal. And this was about getting the bone, the like treasure, the like bone DNA out of the bone.
The femur?
The femur. Yeah. So this is a quote from Dr. David San Pietro. Quote, dealing with a sample that was around 300 years old and buried at the bottom of the ocean in the form of a bone presented some unique challenges for us. He goes on to say this very scientific statement, quote, there is stuff in the bone, so to speak, and the name of the game is to try to get it out.
That is so poetic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. He is a scientist and an academic, and he wants you to know
Yeah.
there's stuff in the bone and they're trying to get it out.
They're trying so hard, I bet. Okay, the last thing that I need to say, did you know that he is estimated to have been worth $120 million?
No, damn.
Yep,
Fuck.
that's fucking right.
I just have a little bit of info on the skeleton guy that they did find.
Oh, yeah. Please, I didn't find anything out about the poor bastard.
Well, of course, like we said, they use DNA testing. So the forensic scientists at Henry Lee College at University of New Haven basically were able to, like you said, they tested the bone and they tested it against one of Bellamy's descendants in England. And of course, as we said, no match, no dice. But what is interesting about this skeleton is that they ran some x-rays and thermal imaging on this skeleton that's basically trapped in what Katelyn said, this concretion, which is like sediment and other like undersea junk hardened up together to basically make what is kind of like undersea natural concrete kind of. And so they did some different types of imaging on this, and basically it showed that this guy is like a true blue pirate, because encased in this concrete, he's got his pistol and he's got, quote, like a hot metal in his pocket, and they think that that's gold, baby.
Hot metal, hot metal,
Hot metal,
metal.
hot metal, and you know the hottest metal is gold, baby. They talked with Clifford as well, the guy who discovered the Witta, and he believes that when the crew knew that the ship was going down, everyone went for that treasure room. He said, quote, "The pirates went into the treasure room and everyone filled their pockets. It appears that this person was killed by a 400-pound roll of lead that's encapsulated within the concretion, and you can see that the lead was right on top of his skeleton, and it appears that he has a pocket filled with treasure." So,
oof, chills.
yeah. So basically this guy, he knew the ship was going down, and he was like, better fill my pockets with treasure just in case I end up getting out of this situation. Filled his pockets with treasure and then was crushed by this 400-pound thing of lead.
Damn it.
Yeah, but we have his body and this little concretion, like you were talking about. There's a bunch of these chunks that are filled with artifacts and are like little time capsules to show us what life was like on that ship.
I love a shipwreck. I love a shipwreck story. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I don't love the loss of life.
You heard it here first. Katelyn loves when people die at sea.
No, I just think a shipwreck story is so fascinating. The Bermuda Triangle has always been really interesting to me.
Yes.
Just, you know, the ocean is such a mystery in itself, you know?
Yeah,
and
it's
then
a whole other world.
Throw another mystery on top of that ocean, and I'm hooked.
Like a fish, one might say.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Hey.
Well, that's pirate talk for you. I think you should go ahead and go ahead with another story.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us on Pirate Talk.
Thank you for joining us on Pirate Talk. We talk about the same pirates, but different articles about the same pirates.
Maybe that'll be our Patreon show, Pirate Talk, where we just talk about pirates.
Yeah. Arg.
Yeah, let us know if you would listen to Pirate Talk.
I will talk like this the whole time, matey. Is
that a pirate? It sounds more like a cowboy.
I don't know what it was.
I'm a fixin' to make you walk the plank.
I was choking a little bit, so it was a little breathy and not well thought out, so maybe cut it.
No.
Unless it's funny, then keep it in. I'll sacrifice for the good of the show.
Oh, you're such a martyr.
I know.
All right. A dead, decomposing whale once toured the United Kingdom.
What the fuck?
So, people go on a lot of adventures, right? But sometimes dead whales go on their own adventures.
Oh my God.
Let me just say really quickly, this is an article from Atlas Obscura. Let us transport ourselves to December of 1883, and we're going to Dundee, Scotland. The people of Dundee are hanging out by the estuary. just minding their own business, doing Scottish things, and they see these spurts coming out of the water, like big whale spurts. And people were pretty excited about this because whales were pretty uncommon coming this close into the estuary.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, this whale had really gotten itself into a pickle because this was a place where whalers who worked on the Arctic waters frequently wintered in Dundee. And at the time, basically, the city was packed with, it was the premier whaling town of the British Empire.
So this whale just picked the wrong spot.
Yeah. This whale basically wandered into a fucking minefield, had no idea it was going like into the belly of the beast, basically. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were super excited about this whale because they'd never seen one before. And many people were, they were not going to work, not going to school. They were just going off to see the fucking whale.
What, you get a day off to look at a whale? I'd like a day off to look at a whale.
I mean, we'd all love a day off to go look at a whale, but this is not 1883.
All right.
We can't just go off to watch whales.
I will say, I've been to Hawaii a few times. I've been a few places where there are whales, and I don't care how common whales are. Everybody will gather on the beach if you see some good whale action and just like stand. Obviously, this is pre-COVID, but just like stand next to each other, like, look at this whale. Everybody needs to look at this whale. Like, because a whale, no matter how many whales you see, a whale is interesting and it's a big thing. And it's very old, probably.
Yeah, I think we love whales because it definitely harkens back to that idea of like the time of like megafauna, like these giant creatures that once roamed the earth. And I feel like whales are like the last vestige of that, like these unbelievably large creatures that are the beauty of nature.
Yeah, you're like, how, this is impossible. How did you get so big?
How did you get so big? So after a few days, pretty much all of the whalers in town, both professional and amateur, decided they wanted to catch this whale, which is sad, I know. So on December 31st, a group of whalers struck the whale with several harpoons. The whale was hit by a 4-foot-long iron, 2 marley spikes, and several nuts and bolts. And it ultimately snapped the harpoon line that, so when you shoot a harpoon, there's a line coming off of it to the boat, and it snapped that line and was able to swim free. But I think, you know, as you can predict and as I can predict and as the whalers predicted, this was the death knell for this whale.
Yeah.
This whale was
There's no coming back.
No, there's no coming back from this. About a week later, a group of fishermen start approaching what they believe to be a capsized ship, but they realize that it is, of course, the whale, the dead whale.
These fucking whalers they just killed it and were like, bye.
Yeah. Well, it swam away. It escaped from them. It escaped from them, but they
knew it was gonna die. Okay, sorry. I was like, come on.
Yeah. So they basically hauled this whale up onto shore, and local pubs made a lot of profit from visitors who wanted to come see the whale and have a pint afterwards, which is kind of nuts. But very soon, a guy named John Struthers came over to take a look, and he is a surgeon, a comparative anatomist, and a Darwin enthusiast. And he had set out to open a zoology museum at the University of Aberdeen, and he wanted to stock that museum with different specimens that basically proved Darwin's theories.
Cool.
Yeah, so a good endeavor. We love evolution here on the pod.
Yeah, I'm in support of evolution.
Yeah, but in order to do this, he would have to acquire the whale, right?
Oh.
So, so this 45-foot, 29-ton animal was auctioned off where a local oil merchant named John Woods, aka Greasy Johnny.
Oh my God.
Well, he paid 226 pounds for this whale, which, do you want to guess how much that is in now money?
Oh, did you do it in pounds or dollars?
Dollars.
$500?
No, this would be $34,000.
Oh my God, I was so
You were very off.
$34,000.
Yeah, bitch. Inflation.
$500.
$500. That'd be a
Sorry.
steal, wouldn't it?
I'm sorry. Anyway, continue.
So this whale became known as the Tay whale for the body of water that it had strayed off into. And in order to move this whale to where Woods wanted it, to his scrapyard, they needed 20 horses to haul it about a half mile, and it took 26 hours. Like, fuck, that's more than a day.
That sucks.
To go half a mile.
Continuously? Like, what? Did they take breaks? Like, how did they do this?
I don't know.
These poor assholes.
Yeah. So almost immediately, Greasy Johnny goes into the souvenir business, and he's trying to get people he's having people take commemorative photographs of the whale, and he's charging people to view it. And apparently on one single Sunday afternoon, 12,000 visitors paid to gawk at the whale. And in a town of 200,000, about 50,000 turned up to see the whale. So what is that, a fourth of the town went to see the whale?
What year was this again?
1883.
Oh, yeah. These people had never seen anything like this, I bet. Like, it was just like, what is this fucking dinosaur that they're pulling out of the water?
Yeah,
like,
it was absolutely wild. A guy even wrote a poem about it. There's a poem by William McGonagall, and in my notes I wrote, who was a saucy dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read you just the end of this poem. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Quote, "Then hurrah for the mighty monster whale, which has got 17 feet 4 inch from tip to tip of tail, which can be seen for 6 pence or a shilling. That is to say, if the people all are willing."
Ooh, spooky.
Spooky, spooky, spooky. Okay, so even though our friend Struthers, who's the guy who wants to open the museum, he was outbid by Greasy Johnny, he basically wanted to dissect this whale. But Woods didn't really want him to dissect the whale because he was making so much money off of it. But they actually cut a deal, and Struthers could dissect the whale as long as Greasy Johnny could invite people to come and pay to watch it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This is a little quote from the Atlas Obscura article. Quote, "The procedure would boast the added attraction of background music by the band of the 1st Forshire Rifle Volunteers." So this guy's dissecting a whale, and there's like a band of musicians playing behind him. Just like,
while a crowd is just like, what are you doing?
It's fucking nuts. But unfortunately, even in the Scottish winter, the whale was decomposing really quickly.
Sure.
And this is a quote from the Aberdeen Journal from January 26, 1884. So this is a year after this whale has been killed. Quote, "The creature, quote, has not been looking quite his best since he was brought to terra firma, because less attractive to the eyes and especially to the nose of its visitors. The only recognizable feature was his tail."
Ew. Oh.
After the dissection, Greasy Johnny had a plan to kind of extend the money-making, and he had the carcass of the whale embalmed and stretched over a wooden backbone and stuffed into like kind of its original shape. And he took it on the road, carting it to Glasgow, Manchester, Newcastle, Edinburgh, and the tour finally ended in August, and Struthers dissected it one more time. So he's dissected this whale a couple of times.
Let this whale go on no more adventures. Like, let this whale rest.
This whale goes on a crazy amount of adventures. And they even find, unfortunately, they found someone in the whale who had been sleeping in there and then died.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and someone recognized him as like a man that was in need of housing from Fife, and they thought that he was looking for a warm place to spend the night and went inside the whale's mouth while it was on a train carriage. And he couldn't be revived even with shots from galvanistic batteries and gunfire.
Okay.
So, like, the things they were doing to everybody's bodies were fucking fucked up.
Yeah.
What ended up happening is Struthers took the whale back to his lab, and he had all the flesh stripped off of it by beetles, which took nearly 3 years. But now the bones are finally on display. You know, they have been on display for a long time at the McManus Museum in Dundee, and you can still see them there today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a bit of a longie, but this
Okay.
whale just went on a journey.
That was a big whale adventure.
It's a big whale adventure.
All right. Got something a little different for you.
Yes, please.
How do you feel about a wall made of 119 skulls at Mexico City's Huey-Some-Pantli?
I feel like I want to know more about it.
This is an article by Ellen Gutowski from December 15th, 2020. It is, in fact, from Mental Floss.
Mental Floss.
Hi, we love you. So, archaeologists in Mexico City were excavating a portion of Huey-Tompantli, and I'm probably saying that totally wrong. I do apologize. It is an ancient Aztec tower, and it's just below street level, which I think is spooky.
Ooh.
And during this restoration, they just found 119 human skulls in a wall.
Shit.
Yeah, okay. This is my favorite quote. While definitely momentous, it's not wholly surprising.
Okay. You're not surprised. I am.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I find it surprising. I don't have your life experience, sir. Where do you hang out?
So basically, this place that they're restoring is essentially, quote, a giant rack that the Aztecs used to display skulls from human sacrifices and prisoners of war. Yeah.
Ooh.
So this wall, I guess the way I tie this into our adventure bonanza, it's not an adventure to the people that are actually on the ground, but to me, it is an adventure. Because, like, it's a wall of skulls. Like,
That's an adventure. I think so.
it's not an adventure. Even if the people who found it are like, whatever. It's like, hello, this is horrifying.
It's an adventure to us.
It must have been an adventure to make.
Or be a part of.
Yeah, there are, so far since they first found it, and I guess it's been 5 years since they found it, there have been, well, and this wall, this is just a piece of the puzzle, but overall they have found 484 skulls, within the structure, which likely was created between 1486 and 1502. There are female and male skulls and at least 3 children.
Oh, not the chillins.
I know. So, obviously, human sacrifice is very bad. It's something that we look back on and are like, what the fuck? What is wrong with them? Why would they do that? Ancient civilizations like the Aztec, quote, considered it an absolute necessity in order to sustain the gods, who would, in return, allow humans to keep living too. So these structures and this wall of skulls was a monument to the gods, basically.
Yeah. And, even though those people were sacrificed, they now serve to teach us more about their culture and, help us to understand their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're just sort of in the process still of bringing the skulls down. that's kind of the whole thing. It's just like, that's a short one, which I guess kind of works out because we're running a little long. But to me, a wall of skulls is nothing if not an adventure.
Yeah.
And the Aztecs are so interesting. Aztecs and Mayans are really interesting to me. Their culture, human sacrifice is such a difficult thing to comprehend from our current position. Yeah, I remember, is it the road to El Dorado? Is that the one where there's a almost human sacrifice?
I think so. I can't think of any other.
I'll double check that later, but there's a cartoon, I think it's The Road to El Dorado, where there's an almost human sacrifice, and I just remember that like image has stuck with me, even though I don't know if I remember the name of the movie. But it's just like so horrifying to me, the idea of human sacrifice, and you know, how can you think that it's okay to kill this one sacrifice and then other people are going to live? You know, what makes people better than the other or more deserving of life? It brings up a lot of questions. Yeah, that's my story. Question mark, it's not really a story. Adventure Bonanza.
Well, do we have time for one more?
Of course, I hope so, because my last one is my fave.
Cool. Well, my last one is maybe one of my favorites too. So this is an article, again from Atlas Obscura, by Jessica Lee Hester, and it's from 2020. Sold. A famous fossil hunter's letter that's totally full of crap.
What?
Okay, the famous fossil hunter that they're talking about is Mary Anging, and she had a particular talent for finding pieces of fossils and other detritus from the past. And in the 19th century, Anning, I hope that's how you say it, Anning would look all through the beaches of Lyme Regis in England, in the English county of Dorset, and her many expeditions turned up a lot of high-profile fossils from millions of years ago, including those of plesiosauruses, ichthyosauruses, marine reptiles, and other, megafauna. But the thing that she's actually, I would say, one of her biggest contributions to archaeology is how she wrote about coprolites. So the word coprolite comes from Greek for stung stone, and coprolites are fossilized chunks of poop.
What's the word again?
Coprolites.
Okay.
And so Anning has this letter from 1829 that she sent to this extremely prolific paleontologist. Paleontologist. Jesus Christ, Sophie. Paleontologist. That's a fucking word. Come on now. William Buckland. William Buckland is the guy. And so this letter was recently sold at Sotheby's for $131,700.
For a letter.
For a letter about Poopy. A letter about very old Poopy. A letter about millions of years old Poopy.
Oh my God.
Honestly, though, coprolites are pretty important because they're full of a lot of kind of scientific information that we might not get from fossils, actually. There's a museum specialist in paleontology at the American Museum of Natural History named Carl Mehling. And here's a little quote from him about coprolites. He says, quote, "If bits of bone or teeth are in it, we can get a sense of which animals ate which animals and at what time period." He also says that there are parasites that don't appear anywhere else in the fossil record. So these coprolites basically hold information about food chains and about parasitic life in the past. But Melling says that most are missed. Quote, "Most are missed because they look like rocks. And a lot of rocks get called coprolites because they look like turds."
Vicious cycle there.
Yeah, right? He also says, quote, "It's incredibly easy to mess up identification." He says, quote, it's virtually impossible. With a few exceptions, Tyrannosaurus rex's foot-long feces is fairly easy to identify because it's, quote, full of bone and huge, and from an era where they were the only carnivores at that time big enough to make it.
Oh, that's not scat, that's a coprolite.
Yeah, bitch. But I just love the fact that, so she found all these coprolites, and she was actually at the forefront of bringing coprolites into archaeology as a legit form of figuring out.
Yeah, because it is legit. That tells you so much about what was going on. I mean, it's funny and it is gross, but very useful.
Yeah, and basically in this letter, why it's so important is because this was like coprolites, and the concept of coprolites were brand new at that time, and like 191 years later, we're still talking about them.
Yeah.
But I'd like to share one last quote from Melling about what Anning must have thought when she was finding these coprolites. He says, quote, "What else would it be but a turd?" She said, "I think this is shit." And that was the origin of the idea.
Oh my God. Perfect. Some things you can't fake. Some things are just accidents, and they're awesome.
Sometimes you find millions of year old poopy, and it's very important.
Thank you.
Poopy!
Oh my God. Oh. All right. We're down to the final adventure bonanza.
The final bonanza, yeah.
So, Sophie, you might remember me talking about this. I'm obsessed with the Oregon Trail.
You fucking love the Oregon Trail.
I do love the Oregon Trail. I don't love the death. I don't love the bad stuff, but okay. So, listeners, I am from Oregon, so a lot of my education about like pioneer times and whatever had to do with the Oregon Trail a lot. So I feel like I learned a lot about it, and I've always kind of wanted to tie it into something in Anything Bones. For the future, I might do an episode on the Donner Party at some point because I find that super fascinating. But for today, I think I'm just going to tell you about trail basics - dangers.
Oh, yes.
This is from the OregonTrailCenter.org.
Oh, my favorite website.
Yeah, and that's literally what this like section of the website is called. Trail basics - dangers.
Dangers. Not the trail basics - fun stuff.
No, this is where it gets dangerous, people. It wasn't all just churning butter and saying fuck you to the Californians and their gold.
Hey.
So the major threats to the pioneers were from accidents, exhaustion, and disease.
The big three.
Yeah, those are the big three. Something really dangerous that they had to do a lot: cross rivers. That was real dangerous. Shit got broken all the time. Rivers could swell and they would tip over and drown people, and the oxen that were that were hauling the wagons through. Animals could also just like start to panic when they were going through deep water, and wagons would just tip over. Also, people could be crushed by wagons or animals, or thrown by horses, of course. And then just like walking along the trail was just exhausting. So people would just die of exhaustion because of walking.
Oh no. Just look back behind you and be like, where's Uncle Rufus?
Dead.
No,
it's like really, truly, the Oregon Trail was just brutal. A lot of people made it, but a lot of people did not make it. They were on an adventure, and it was mostly good, but yeah, not great. According to somebody named Peter Olk, and if he's on the Oregon Trail Center website, I believe him, being run over by wagon wheels was the most frequent cause of injury or death. Ouch.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Kids, especially.
Oh. God, that's gotta be horrible. God.
I know. Bad.
Crushed by wagon wheels?
Yeah.
Oh.
Moving on. Guns were a big deal as well.
Aren't they still?
Yes. So there were a lot of people killed by accidental firearm discharges, or people maybe were fighting among each other. I don't know.
They shoot each other.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so most frequent cause of injury or death is being run over by wagon wheels. Second is guns. Third is stampeding livestock. So, okay. And guess what? Guess what wasn't as big of a threat to these people on the Oregon Trail, but I'm sure they thought was going to be a huge fucking deal the whole time.
Are we talking Indigenous Americans?
Native Americans, exactly. Quote, Indians proved not to be any real danger to most pioneers. Other causes of injury or death included attacks by immigrants on other immigrants. Shocker. Hailstorms, grass fires, gunpowder explosions, snake bite, and suicide.
Yikes. Dysentery. Did we say dysentery?
I'm getting there.
Okay, sorry. That's my favorite one. We were just talking poopy.
You've heard it here first. Sophie likes dysentery.
I do.
Okay, so we've got lots of problems, right? We've got accidents, we've got exhaustion. Now we're at disease. Cholera, smallpox, flu, measles, mumps, tuberculosis. The worst was cholera.
Damn it. Damn you, cholera.
Yeah, there was something about how, somebody could be perfectly healthy, they could eat their breakfast, get sick, and die by noon. Cholera is bad. And burials were often done in the middle of the trail. They just, this I hadn't thought of, but because if you bury somebody on the trail, the wagon wheels are going to go over the top of it. There's going to be people going through all the time. No, it's a good thing, because then animals aren't going to pick up the scent and dig up the body and take it.
Okay. I thought you were going to tell me that the fucking Oregon Trail was littered with parts of human remains, just left, right, and center, although that may be true.
Well, I mean, it's a trail of death, honestly. So, quote, the number of deaths which occurred in wagon train companies traveling to California is conservatively figured as 20,000 for the entire 2,000 miles of the Oregon/California Trail, or an average of 10 graves per mile.
Shit.
Yeah.
Have they done a lot of excavating on the Oregon Trail? Are there death markers for people, or just
I don't know if there are any more, because the Oregon Trail isn't really it's not really a trail anymore, it's
yeah
now.
You mean they build stuff on top of the Oregon?
It's Oregon is there now rather than the trail.
I mean, but not the whole thing is in Oregon, right? Wasn't that kind of the point?
But, I mean, who knows? With urbanization and, whatever,
but
we'll probably never know the full extent of it all. And sometimes people were just washed away in the river too.
Yeah, I would imagine. That's so crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, those are my trail basics from the Oregon Trail. I just quickly want to tell you that when I was in 4th grade, we had to go on an Oregon Trail themed overnight camp, and I had to wear a bonnet, and I had to churn butter, and I had to sleep in a boxcar, and I hated it.
Damn. We had to do a similar thing, not on the Oregon Trail, but I'm from California, so we had to do gold rush stuff.
Sure, of course.
We went to a place called Malakoff Diggins.
Jesus.
And we panned for gold.
Nice. Yeah, I literally don't remember anything other than churning butter and having to wear this bonnet the whole time I was there, and sleeping and hating it because I couldn't fall asleep in this cold ass boxcar.
Well, yeah, that sounds like an uncomfortable place and time for a child to sleep.
Well, I never did well on those overnight trips. I just was like, I want to go home. Like, nobody, you told me I had to do this. Like, I'm not a good sleeper. So I'm not going to just like be here and fall asleep. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be weird for several hours before I fall asleep.
I'm sorry, I have to be weird for a few hours. Please excuse
Weird over
me.
here. I'm going to have to pee 20 times because I'm nervous.
Yeah, no, I hate overnight. I used, as a kid, I hated overnight trips and stuff. When I would go to camp, I went to like a Jewish day camp and they would have like some overnights. And I would always start off the overnight thinking like, oh, I'm going to do it this time. Like, I'm not going to call my parents. My parents are like, are you sure you want to do it? Are you sure you want to do it? Because, the counselors, they have to wake up in the middle of the night if you call us. And like, they don't like it. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Sure enough, 2 a.m, waking up those 20-something counselors. They hated me. And I was like, can you call my mommy? And they're like, yes, bitch.
Yeah, we knew you wouldn't last the night.
Yeah, we knew you wouldn't last the night. They're like, are you sure you don't want to just stay? And I'm like, no.
I have to go to my bed.
I have to sleep in my bed.
Anyway, this Bone-anza took a turn for childhood.
Well, it fits within the theme. These are stories of our own childhood adventures in not being able to sleep in places that were in our beds.
Adventure Bone-anza. And we only had one double Bone-anza surprise. That one pirate.
Well, I should have known. Interesting. We both love a pirate. And neither of us could turn down the richest pirate.
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? The big boy pirate?
A pirate so rich that rocks that just appear from his ship just have shit all over them. Not poop. Literal, like good stuff, like gems and coins.
So the opposite of shit.
I don't know. I'm really tired now.
Yeah, me too. But thanks so much for listening to Anything Bones, to this Bone-anza. If you're liking what we're putting out here on the podcast, make sure you go over and write us a little review, because every review counts. It helps people to see the podcast, and it helps more boneheads to find us and each other, and you spread the good word of the bones. Go out there and touch a bone today.
Love your bones.
Love your bones.
All right. Love you, Soph.
All right. I love you. Bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music, and Stephen Vetteroff
at Chubby Scrubby on Twitter
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
at Camilla Strader on Instagram
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Poopy!